Merhaba değerli katılımcılar. Bir Profen Teknoloji Günlerinde yine sizlerle buluştuğumuz için mutluyuz. Ben Saadettin Avcılar. Yurt dışı tedarikçi ilişkilerini görevini yürütüyorum. 3 senedir yapılmakta olan Profen Teknoloji Günlerinde Profen iletişim bünyesinde bulunan teknolojileri ve tedarikçilerimizin teknolojilerini katılımcılarımız ile paylaşarak ortak çalışma zemini bulmaya amaçlıyoruz. Bugünkü konuğumuz Sencore firması ile medya iletiminin gelişimi konulu bir oturum gerçekleştireceğiz. Oturumu Sencore firmasından Tomasz Pirszula ve Aaron Doughton birlikte sunacaklar. Ben önce bir iki kelime Profen'den bahsetmek istiyorum. Profen 27 yılı aşkın süredir haberleşme teknolojileri, savunma teknolojileri, teleport ve uydu network hizmetleri, medya ve yayıncılık, EPC ve yaşam bilimleri sektörlerine ürün ve hizmet sunan global bir şirkettir. Merkezi İstanbul'da bulunan Profen, Ankara, Konya ve yurt dışında Bakü ve İngiltere ofisleriyle dünya çapında yenilikçi ve yüksek uydu haberleşme teknolojileri çözümleri sunmaktadır. Profen bünyesinde barındırdığı farklı grup şirketleri Profen İletişim Teknolojileri, Profen Savunma Teknolojileri, Profen Uydu Hizmetleri, Profen İnşaat, Profen UK, Profen Yaşam Bilimleri ile ticari ürünlerden askeri projelere uzanan sektörel uzmanlık ve bilgi sahibidir. Sunumumuz İngilizce olacaktır. Kısa İngilizce açıklama sonrasında sözü önce Sencore firmasından Tomasz Pirszula'ya, daha sonra Aaron Doughton'a vermek istiyorum. Dear participants, we are pleased to see you again in Profen Tech Days. I'm Saadettin Avcılar. I'm in charge of overseas supplier relations. We hope that by sharing technologies from our suppliers at Profen Tech Days, which have been around for 3 years, we'll find common ground within the ecosystem. We are going to have a session with our guest, Sencore, to discuss evolution of media delivery systems. Tomasz Pirszula and Aaron Doughton will present the session. Hello, Tomasz. Welcome to our Profen Tech Days webinar. It's over to you and your colleague, Aaron Doughton. Please tell our audience about Sencore and please introduce your friend and your company.
Thank you, Saadettin, for the kind introduction. Thank you. I would like to welcome anyone on that Profen Tech Days. And yes, I would like to, together with me is Aaron Doughton. I know that he was already introduced, but let me say a little bit more about Aaron. You all probably know me. I'm an account manager for Sencore. Covering international sales and Middle East, everything in international basically. And Aaron is our key product manager responsible for adopting new technologies at Sencore and getting that new technologies into Sencore products. So yes, I would like to share my presentation with you, and the presentation will be divided into two parts. So the first part will be introduction of our existing products, everything that we have that we had before. So maybe for some of you it will be just a reminding. But the second part will be something new, the platform that we are currently working on. And then I will handle everything to Aaron because he's an expert in that, and this is something that yeah, I would like to focus basically on more on that second part. I hope that you can see my screen. So yeah, let's move to the presentation. So Sencore, as you probably know, is really old company, founded in 1951. So it's 70 years already. Yeah, so founded in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Through the course of years, we had different products for the different markets as well. Right now, we are focusing on broadcast and commercial market. And yeah, I will show you the products that we have right now. So two main headquarters. So the headquarter of Sencore is, as I said, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but we have another facility, very big factory in China, in Huizhou. So if you get any products from Sencore, most probably they were manufactured in China in our factory. So we own the factory. We don't subcontract manufacturing. So we do everything ourselves. Here are our main offices. So we have presence in the US, in Europe, some local offices in China, of course, and Latin America. Yes, for the factory itself, it is very new. We build it, yeah, we run it since 5 years, I guess. So we have huge capabilities for the production. So we can do many things. We handle many contracts. We do different things for other companies as well. So if you have any projects where you need to develop your own device or you have some special needs, we can focus on that. So please remember that besides our portfolio that we are presenting right now, besides our own products, we can help you with that kind of production if that's something that you are looking for. Okay, and jumping into products, maybe starting from the history, you can know Sencore from analyzers, audio analyzers, and and digital analyzers from the past. For the broadcast, I think that our first product for broadcast was a decoder, H.264 decoder, which was really good product, and many companies were buying that product from us. You could find it in portfolios of other companies as well. So it was the first professional H.264 decoder for broadcast. And later we of course started our history with broadcast devices. So compressed video servers, satellite modulators, and some other decoders that we have these days. Yes, so if we could divide our products into 3 groups, I would say that we have broadcast delivery products, so that would be distribution and contribution products. The second group is video monitoring. We are very strong in video monitoring. And the third group is commercial Pro AV. So everything that is maybe not so demanding in terms of quality or maybe some features, mainly features, not really quality. And then that would fall into that category as well. Okay. SMD 989 satellite modulator, very good modulator. Some of you use, I think that in Turkey we have 2 or 3 deployments of that modulator. So it can be single channel or dual channel for DVB-S2X modulation. We mainly focus on DVB modulation. We don't do broadband modulations. Yeah, so it is good for your uplinks or maybe SNG tracks. Our MRD and AG line. So if you think about our line of MRD, so we have hardware MRDs that we are continuing that line for a long time. So MRD 5800, 44, 6000, and 2600, depending what kind of features you need. If you need what kind of chroma space you need to decode, if it's 420 or 422, or if you need different form factors. So you can have some from Sencore, you can have 1RU decoders, but you can have exactly the same version as a cards for open gear chassis. that just increases density with the same feature set. So yeah, depending what you need, we can source different decoders. We have probably right now, I think that we have around 8 decoders or maybe even more in our portfolio. So yeah, whatever decoding project we would jump in, and we are very strong in it. MRD 7000 software decoder, very good for UHD streams. It can do 2110 output. It can do SDI output, mainly for decoding IP streams, but of course we can do satellite as well. Right now we are approved or certified with NMOS for 2110. So yes, whatever, and it's a multi-channel decoder, so we can do up to 4 channels in one chassis or one UHD channel. SDI2X 2110 to SDI converter. So it's a bidirectional converter. So whenever you have some streams, some legacy streams, SDI streams that you would like to convert to 2110, or the other way around, you have some 2110 streams that you would like to convert back to SDI signals, you can use such converters. We have 2 different form factors as well. So there's a portable device looking like that. That portable device can come as 4-channel or 1-channel unit. And of course, open gear card, as usual, 4-channel unit that can, we can put up to 10 such cards in one chassis. TSS MIP, this is a transport streamer. So whatever applications you have, like troubleshooting, or maybe some streaming applications in your lab, or maybe you would like to feed your networks with some TS streams, this is a very good device that can help you with that. It can do up to 1 gig of streams from a single server. And of course, there are some other nice features, which is, for example, time delay. So if we need to receive streams from different time zone and delay that to our broadcast time, we can do it. Yeah, we can do archiving as well, so the server can archive video content. It can be used as disaster recovery server. So yes, multiple applications around video or transport streaming and transport stream recording. Another decoder, it's new for us, Impulse 400D. This is 4-to-0 decoder, where UHD. Yeah, so it's not in our MRD line. So if we think about our decoders, there's an MRD line which is a very professional broadcast, and there's always a second tier line. And this is one of these decoders. So some applications, they don't require high-end decoders. So for example, for monitoring, or maybe some price-sensitive applications, customers ask us for such devices, which would be reliable, but a little bit more affordable than MRD line. Then we always provide something like that. SCP-2100. That's an encoder for internet streaming, for SRT streaming. So the whole idea with that encoder was that it should work as a collection box. So we could, for example, take some streams from remote locations without any dedicated connection between that remote location and our head end, we can use internet streaming protocols like SRT or ZigSee. And we can backhaul these signals to our main head end. It can do encoding from SDI or HDMI, or it can do transcoding as well. So whatever we receive from the air, for example, or we receive it from ASI or IP, we can transcode a single channel, and we can backhaul it back to our main head end. So it's encoder, transcoder, and converter in the same.
Tomasz,
Yes.
During this pandemic periods, I think education people, schools and ministries use video so much. So do you think this product, the previous slide, is used there or in use? Can you tell more about this, about use cases? Not
Yes.
only broadcast, I think.
Yeah, so it can be, we sell a lot of it for applications where someone has, like, 1, 2, 3 channels to encode, or for example, applications where someone would like to use it as a backup as well. So for example, one of the applications would be you have your SNG track that does transmission over satellite, and let's say that the main signal is uploaded to the satellite, but at the same time they would like to have some backup feed using internet streaming. Then yes, they can do it, because with SRT and ZigSee you can achieve almost the same latency, and the quality is very good. So reliability of these protocols is huge. So that's why, whenever you want to do transmission, I would say ad hoc, where okay, let's say we have a local event, we don't have too much time to set up everything, to get a lease line, or maybe to get a satellite. Maybe it's too expensive to get a satellite connection. Then we just put such device, and it takes really 3 minutes to configure everything, to have SDI signal encoded and send it to our head end. And on the other side, of course, there's always a question, okay, what we should use on the reception side. So on the reception side, for example, in our portfolio, most our products, they already support SRT protocol. If they don't support SRT protocol, they will. So for example, the MRD 7000, which I presented, could receive 4 such streams at the same time and decode them back to SDI for the production. Such decoder, portable one, very similar, almost the same form factor than SCP, can work as a receiver and decoder at the same time. So it can do decoding to SDI, but it can turn that signal. So if we receive, for example, SRT, it can be turned over to standard UDP signal. And it's configuration is very simple as well. So you just set up 2 IP addresses and create a connection between them. So, and we did tests between different countries, between continents, and it works really well without any interruption. So, and it takes really short. It takes really short to set it up. So yes, decoder, internet with multiple internet protocols. As you see, it supports UDP, ZigSee, SRT, RTMP, HLS. So whenever we need to receive something from the internet, the streams that are already out there, like HLS streams or RTMP streams, but it can be dedicated streams as well, like SRT or ZigSee. We can use that device. OmniHub 6 and 16. This is one of the example for commercial applications. This is a modular platform, and it's really hard to describe the purpose of it in a single, in a couple of words, because, as you see with the multiple modules, we can create or we can support multiple applications. So starting from reception from the air or from satellite, through SRT ZXI processing as well. So there's a module that can receive SRT streams. We can decode that streams. We can have multiple encoders as well, and we can encode them and send them with SRT ZXI. Yeah, so yeah, that can be used as a full-blown headend for IPTV systems, for cable TV, operators with QAM output. So we have different modulators as well with for QAM and OFDM output. It can be used for local DVB-T transmitters. So there are some customers using that as a local DVB-T modulators, just to source get signal for small areas. So yes, if you have any specific applications, let us know, and we'll try to create a configuration. It is very price competitive device as well. So yeah, whenever you have some projects where the price matters, we should go with that device. Yeah, and some video analysis. BB440 probe for 2110 and 2022-6 analysis with JPEG XS support as well. So if we think about analysis on the signals, we have compressed and uncompressed signals in IP. And this is one probe that does uncompressed signal analysis from IP networks. So yes, this is very important to understand where the purpose of it. We have other analyzers for SDI, for example, like Fabrics or something. That is something that does uncompressed only in IP. 330 appliance, another probe, but this time for compressed for transport streams, transport stream analysis. And this is probe server that can do up to 50 gig per second of monitoring and up to 2000 streams. It can do ETR 101 to 90, 1,000 streams, and it can do OTT monitoring. It can do quality of experience, quality of service. So it's really powerful device. Usually a single server can handle all the signals in our headend, only one server. We can have multiple interfaces as well in here. So we can have, 10 gig modules, we can have 100 gig modules, we can have multiple 1 gig modules, depending what kind of interfaces we have in our headend. Another probe for quality of service monitoring, hardware one. So whenever we have some remote location where we care about the power and everything, power consumption, then we should go and use hardware probes, a little bit less capabilities than the software version, but still very powerful probe for multiple things. And we can have with that probes, we can have IP monitoring, and we can have ASI or RF monitoring in that extension cards. Oh, sorry, that's something to skip. And CMA 1820, this is file file-based analyzer. It isn't for live video, but it is more for checking if our video was properly encoded. So if you want to check all the macro blocks or timing in our audio and video, we can record the file and we can analyze it in CMA software. This is software that is being used by all the major broadcasters and equipment manufacturers as well to validate their streams, to validate if their devices are producing proper streams. Yeah, we have multiple installations globally. Okay, so yeah, we are getting to the new stuff right now. So yeah, I'm handling that to Aaron, and yeah, let's the show starts.
What was it? Was it in a party?
No,
This
actually.
picture.
So hey everybody, I'm Aaron Doughton, Senior Product Manager at
Aaron,
Sencore.
do you want to reshare this?
We can just stick with the slides for now for
Okay,
you, and then what I'll do actually, everyone, just to kind of let you know what we'll be talking about for the rest of the presentation is actually a brand new software platform we've been developing at Sencore over the last, I would say, year or so, and we're getting really close to our first release. And then what I'll do is just show you some slides, kind of go over, give you a rough overview of what we're doing with it. And then we'll switch to my screen share and we will actually just do a brief UI tour just to kind of show you the new user interface, some of the new workflows and stuff like that. So that's me at IBC this year. Pretty proud of that moment, actually. Won one of the Best in Show awards at IBC. So it was great for that organization to, give us some recognition, I suppose. Just on our work that we've been doing on the new software platform. Anyway, so Sentra is really the core functionality of Sencore's new software platform. It's brand new from the ground up build, but the first release will be aimed at receiving, transmitting, and converting protocols like SRT and RIST and ZXC and HLS and MPEG over IP. And if anybody's really familiar with the Sencore portfolio, you probably are aware of the DMG 7000. And the DMG 7000 is kind of our, let's just say, first generation software platform. And really, there was a lot of things that we learned in the market and in different applications with the DMG 7000. And we realized that we really wanted to take it to the next level. And Sentra Gateway is that. So this first release will kind of be the new platform that we will transition existing customers to and start building new workflows and new platforms and solutions on. As a brand new, easy to use interface that will scale much better for both small and large applications, and deploy in cloud and on-premise hardware and AWS or Microsoft Azure or Anexia or any of those cloud service providers will be able to deploy very easily into those and enable all of this reception and transmission of the different internet distribution protocols. If you want to head to the next slide. Yeah, so just to kind of highlight some of the things that we'll be able to do. Obviously deploying on appliances. So in other words, COTS hardware or purchased from Sencore, actual server platforms in virtual machines, and then also on bare metal, but also being able to deploy in cloud workflows such as AWS, Microsoft Azure, any of those big cloud operators, in addition to, I guess, any of the smaller ones as well. Really focused on the conversion of internet protocols, but also receiving those internet protocols or transmitting those protocols and turning them back around to MPEG over IP, which of course is our kind of traditional broadcast workflows. Streaming from point to point and point to multi-point. So making sure that we can go from a head end to a regional facility or a head end to multiple regional facilities. So that hub and spoke type application where we're transmitting to multiple locations. And of course, with that becomes really important to have redundancy with link bonding and hitless switching as well, to make sure all the streams that you're transmitting across, all of those links are reliable. Security is also a huge concern for us here, being that the platform is deployable in cloud platforms. And it also has internet-facing Ethernet ports, doing protocols like SRT and RIST and ZXC and all of those. Security becomes key. So we have AES encryption and decryption with PSK and DTLS security, HTTPS web interface and communication, as well as SSL certificates. Both unsigned and signed will be supported, but just to verify that any of the traffic going to and from different sites is actually secured with a certificate. And then, of course, being able to analyze streams as they go across the platform and those internet links, and being able to measure latency, packet loss, network jitter, and then getting into the payload as well, and getting into the ETR 101-290 checks. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that exact abbreviation, or what ETR 101-290 checks are, that is actually a series of compliancy checks around transport streams. So that way, not only are we looking at the IP protocols and understanding what packet loss and network jitter and things like that are happening with those protocols, we're able to then dive into the payload of those packets as well, and actually look at the transport streams and check for priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 errors as well. So that we are able to verify not only is the IP layer healthy, but also the transport stream that you're moving within those streams is also healthy. So I think that's a very important piece there. Yeah, and this is just this graphic's a little busy, I suppose, but it does describe, or at least tries to depict really what Sentra Gateway is all about. And really what you have on the left and right-hand side of the screen is really Sentra at the edge. And so what that means is Sentra at the edge is really the on-premise installations. So these are the units that are taking in MPEG over IP and then converting them to SRT or RIST or something like that. And that's, before it actually goes on to an internet link or a fiber link or something like that. You're doing that conversion at the edge. You're doing the management and control of those streams on premise. You're doing the monitoring and analysis and making sure the transport streams, before they leave your premise, that main head end, that they are actually healthy and you understand what the internet link health is. And then if you're sending into a cloud platform to do even more distribution, maybe you're going to lots of regional facilities from a head end, then you would probably want to use Sentra in the cloud. Obviously, if you're doing point to multi-point from a single head end, you're going to be multiplying the bandwidth every single time you send to a new regional facility. So that can add up to, tens, if not hundreds of gigabits a second, depending on how much content you're trying to move. So in that case, you want to just send to a single point in the cloud and then distribute from a cloud type system. And that's what we're able to do with Sentra. So again, once it's in the cloud, it's able to do all of the monitoring and analysis, the management and control of all of those streams, and then also doing conversion and all of that stuff with the protocols. But we aren't limited to just going through cloud workflows. If we wanted to do point to point over just your typical internet connections, we can do that as well. And then that's again where kind of the endpoints can all be powered by Sentra as well. And one other kind of important piece I wanted to hint at as well with this slide is, Thomas had already covered all of our devices, all the devices that Sencore, already has deployed all over the world, our decoders, our encoders, our digital turnaround devices, head ends, a box, like all of those kinds of products. We will be then extending the management and control, or the monitoring and control, out to those devices as well for Sentra. So not only is it then a stream control platform and a platform where we can monitor and analyze all of these streams that are going across these internet links and cloud workflows, but then we're also able to control the devices. We're able to be sure those devices are acting correctly. We can get into the web UIs remotely from a single pane of glass, or at least have some remote control over all of those devices. So it really complements not only the software piece of it, but then also grows the platform and starts to control the devices and stuff like that from Sencore. So that's kind of an important piece that I want to hint at. Obviously, that'll be after our first release. That's kind of the big dream, but obviously we have some huge strengths in building actual devices, hardware devices based on ASICs and FPGAs and all of that stuff. So in order to complement that, this platform will continue to kind of expand our reach and grow our portfolio. So this is just one of the use cases. We've got several proof of concepts already deployed, and actually we've got a lot of these already deployed with the DMG 7000, which is kind of our first generation software platform. But we're working with some customers closely to make sure that our launch will be able to support a video distribution network in cloud and software workflows. So really, this is just a video distribution network built on public internet instead of having, let's say, leased fiber or dark fiber or satellite or any of those kinds of workflows. It's 100% public IP internet connection. So mostly cloud-based. Obviously, you're going to be sending into some kind of cloud platform in order to make the point to multi-point make sense. And that does shift to an OpEx model, but we are seeing that the cost of running such a video distribution system versus leased fiber or ring fiber networks or satellite is actually much more cost effective in the long term. And that's all because of the new protocols like RIST and SRT becoming very, very, very powerful and enabling things like redundancy and making sure that those public internet links are actually reliable and can be trusted by broadcasters and people that need to deliver, live video reliably. That's a huge challenge all by itself, and these protocols are starting to enable all of that for us. And now we're starting to realize cost savings versus what is kind of traditional broadcast workflows. So really important application for us with this new platform. Contribution and remote production. We are seeing a lot of this. Well, I guess to a little bit of history, I suppose. In the last couple of years, in our contribution workflows, tying into our MRD 7000s and DMG 7000s and DMG 4000s, like the big contribution encode platforms are doing HEVC and UHD, all of that kind of stuff, and even 2110 and JPEG XS for that matter. A lot of the primary links, were always your satellite links, always your fiber links, the really big pipes that can move a lot of bandwidth reliably. That was always the primary link. And then people were then using things like SRT or RIST or Zixi or what have you to do a backup link. So they had the big expensive pipe doing all of their primary distribution, or sorry, not distribution, their primary contribution link. And then on the backup side, that was your SRT and RIST and Zixi, right? That way, if your primary went down, at least you've got something that will still be on air in a contribution feed or in a remote production workflow. Well, just like the video distribution network, we're now starting to see that those public internet connections are reliable enough thanks to these protocols, and the cost savings is there that now complete contribution workflows are completely over public internet connections as well. Now, this might be unique in terms of production, like live events and stuff like that, but this has been done a little bit longer with news gathering. So, the guy with the backpack or the news truck that's been deployed and tries to go over satellite or microwave or something like that, they've transitioned heavily into cellular or public internet connections, and protocols like SRT and RIST are making sure that those type of workflows are, again, reliable, and they can get their content back to their head end or their production facility to be able to get their content out there. So yeah, we're seeing a shift in that as well. So stream aggregation. So this isn't necessarily specific to any particular type of customer, but we do see this a lot where we have users that need to receive all of these different kinds of protocols, whether that's RIST or SRT or MPEG over IP or HLS or whatever acronym you want to use, but whatever protocol they need to receive, they need a lot of different platforms or a lot of different boxes in order to receive all of these protocols and then turn them back around into signals that they can actually use within their head ends or within their production facilities or what have you. And so what we've been able to do is be protocol agnostic, I suppose. And what I mean by that is we can receive all of them in a single platform. So it's an easy one-stop shop, for them to be able to log into this platform, receive all of these different feeds, analyze all of them, but then also do the conversion back into workflows that they can use in their traditional kind of like linear broadcast type workflows. So that's been a really nice application for us to be able to be that single platform for them. All right. And Thomas, if you want to stop sharing your screen, I'll go ahead and share my web browser.
So stop sharing and you can start yours.
Here we go. All right. So we got through all of our slides. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a really quick UI tour of what all of these different kinds of workflows and things like that might look like using protocols like SRT and RIST and kind of talk towards those point to multi-point applications and stuff like that. And actually, I probably should do a quick shift to some of the questions in the Q&A as well. There was a question about what about Dash and RTMP protocols for streaming? So that's actually a good question right off the bat, because I did not talk about either of those protocols when I was talking about what we'll be supporting in this platform. So to answer it very plainly, bluntly, we actually won't have support for those protocols right away, but there's nothing keeping us from doing that. Like we would be able to do RTMP and Dash in this platform. Actually, Dash would probably be a little bit easier compared to RTMP just because of the technology behind it. But that's definitely something we've been looking at doing in some of our other devices like the Impulse 300D and SCP are looking at onboarding those protocols as well. So that would be an excellent complement to our product portfolio. So yeah, it's a good answer or a good question. Not a good answer, but definitely we want to put those things on the roadmap. So no, thank you for calling that out. That's definitely something we want to be considering for the platform. Let's see, there were some other ones. I think I'll actually address some of these questions as I go through the UI tour. So I think I'll do that and then make sure I answered everybody's questions as I go through this.
Let's leave the questions at the end of the presentation. Aaron.
Okay.
You can present.
Sure, I can do that. All right, so this is the main landing page of Sentra. So this is your monitoring page where a lot of your operators and people that are literally just the eyes and ears on the streams or the systems. So this would be where they would be checking to make sure bit rates are coming through, checking notifications for any errors, expanding this out, I suppose. I've got a couple different workflows built. I have a single kind of point to point. It's just an off-air stream actually that's coming into our Sencore network here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is going out on our actual multicast network. So this is a pretty plain Jane, pretty normal workflow. But this one, the remote encode one, is a little bit more interesting to me because what we're doing is actually pulling in a stream from one of our little SCP-2100s. It's one of our little throwdown encoders. We're taking in a stream from the SCP-2100 and then doing SRT distribution to multiple decoder endpoints in this workflow. And then here, I actually have one of our ETR 101-290 engines assigned to that SCP source so that way, as that SCP comes into our cloud environment, I can make sure that the SCP transport stream is actually good. And it actually looks like the off-air stream that it's receiving occasionally does have some PAT errors, some CC errors and some PMT errors and some other priority 2 errors as well. So like right away, I already know that there might be some issues with this stream coming into my platform. And then of course we get things like IP addresses and interfaces and what protocols and stuff we're using. But it gets a little bit more interesting when you go a little bit past your monitoring page. Now we're going to get into what we call the director page. And then this is really when you can start looking at the workflows from a more of an engineering standpoint or more of an administrative standpoint. So here you can actually see our source is this stream coming from the SCP-2100. So here we can see our SCP-2100 source is coming in at about 6 megabits per second. And we should be able to start looking at different kinds of metrics like our ETR 101-290 checks. And then of course, we've got some historical stuff. I've been running this since, let's see, the 7th of December. And oh yeah, we've got lots of FEC packet problems, some discontinuities. So yeah, there's definitely some issues with this stream and I would have to go troubleshoot that. Not happening all the time because they would be red if they were active errors, but definitely from a historical standpoint, I'm having some problems with this stream. And actually I just took a hit there. You probably saw it go red on the screen. So we're taking in the stream from the SCP-2100, and then we are routing through the Sencore gateway to multiple decoders, SRT streams. And then these are just going to some other devices actually within the Sencore network as well. But here we're able to look at the actual protocol statistics, so things like reconnection, sent packets, resent bytes, SRT NACs, all of that wonderful stuff. And if we wanted to, we would be able to assign an ETR 101-290 check engine on this as well. So that way we would be able to monitor as the stream comes into our platform, is it good? And then as it leaves our platform, is it still good, right? Because you want to make sure in a cloud platform specifically that when it goes in, and it comes out, it's the same stream, right? You don't want garbage in, garbage out. You want good stream in and good stream out. That's a really important thing to show in these types of workflows. So this is kind of a nice just point to multi-point look of what that looks like and how that can be done within the platform itself. And then we can take it a little bit step further and get it actually into the analyze section. And the analyze section, if you're familiar with ETR 101-290 checks, you might be familiar with some of these terms, but here we can actually look at those checks in a little bit more detail. So for instance, the PAT and CC errors have actually had quite a few counts, and it looks like they are happening. Yeah, it is December 20th at about 5:48 here in South Dakota. So as you can see, these errors are actually ticking up, and they are problems coming in from that SCP-2100. So there must be some problem with that 8 VSB signal that it's receiving or something like that. So we can actually get into a lot more granular information with our TS analyzer. And we also have the idea of using templates. This is kind of a new thing for Sencore as well. I don't actually have any of them created, but to talk towards it. So previously with our platforms, what we would do is actually just save off entire product profiles. So in other words, an entire unit worth of configuration would be saved off. And so you could only back up an entire unit and not just like little bits and pieces of it. And so what we've done here is do the thing or take the idea of using templates to save off workflows. So for example, let's say that our SCP remote encode is something that only happens occasionally, and we don't want that to be a workflow all the time. We could actually save off this entire workflow as a template itself and be able to delete it. And then when we want to recall it, we could just recall that one workflow and not have to mess with the rest of the system. So we can do that by individual workflows. We can do that by individual sources and destinations. We can create new custom defaults for protocols like SRT or MPEG over IP, where maybe there's a certain octet range that you use with within your facilities all the time, or you always want to have FEC turned on with MPEG over IP. Lots of different settings that you don't want your engineers and administrators to have to reconfigure every single time. And that's where templates become very easy to then recall settings or recall entire workflows and be able to recall things really, really quickly, get workflows spun up much more quickly, and just kind of reduce time to go on air and address issues and things like that. The rest of the stuff isn't too sexy, to be honest with you. It's, the reporting tabs showing you alarms and logs and stuff like that. But there is a very verbose system log that actually shows, if individual devices have had changes made to them, which user is making those changes. All of that kind of information is going to be saved off in the platform. So you can get very, very, very detailed logging information, which is important when you have multiple users logging into a central cloud platform. You want them to be able to, I guess verify whether or not a user is making bad choices or making bad settings and things like that. You just want to make sure you're policing that. So that allows you to do that stuff. So that's it.
Aaron, I think this is
That's
very
the UI
important
tour.
for customer support, right? Because
Yes.
you can give a customer very good support.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, so just to talk through some of the stuff in the Q&A, one of the questions was, Sentra Gateway seems like a great way to control streams, but what about devices? So the answer is yes, and we are going to be growing the platform in order to do that. So I had hinted at that a little bit earlier while I was doing the UI tour of, we're starting with the stream control. That is our, the primary thing that we're going to be releasing here in January is having that really nice stream control that I just showed off. But the next piece of that, or that stuff that's on the roadmap for us at Sencore, is to be able to then integrate Sentra into our other devices and stuff like that. So in other words, adding things like stream telemetry data and ETR 101 290 checks into the devices themselves, and then be able to pull that information into Sentra. You'll be able to see not only the stream level information, but then also get into the device level stuff as well, which I think is super important for managing a bunch of remote devices or a really large network or something like that. As much data as you can get and be able to track the health of the entire system, and being able to tell an engineer, hey, only that encoder is having a problem. Can you go investigate that further? You'd be able to see that from that single pane of glass, if you will, or that single UI. So that's a really important thing that we want to be able to do. I get this question a lot, actually. Is Sencore planning to add thumbnails of the video to Sentra? Yes, that's on the roadmap. That's turning out to be quite an interesting thing to do, though, just from an engineering standpoint. We do want to do that. I think what we'll have to do, though, is actually do that at the device level. So in other words, if you're encoding or decoding or transcoding, those devices that do those things have a much better opportunity of pulling a good quality thumbnail. And so what we will most likely do is then have those devices render those thumbnails and then send it back into Sentra. And then that way, the Sentra platform, at least, the monitoring piece of it, would actually have the thumbnails in place there for us to actually extract and decode and do all of the thumbnail extraction within the Sentra platform itself. Gets kind of process intensive, which can get kind of expensive if you're doing cloud operations, or if you're trying to do this on bare metal servers and stuff like that. You kind of sacrifice too much horsepower to do the thumbnail processing. But if the devices can do it for us and then just send us thumbnails occasionally, I think that will work very well. So anyway, I probably went into too much detail in the thumbnail thing, but it's something in the product manager's mind I'm constantly trying to figure out. Yeah, another question was, can Sentra be used just as a monitoring tool? Oh, if you don't want the streams to go through Sentra. So yeah, to have the whole question. So Sentra can be used as just a monitoring tool. What if I don't want the streams to go through Sentra, but only control or monitor the streams? So yes, that is potentially something we could do, where Sentra is just a monitoring tool. The problem with that is that, and Thomas already talked about this as well, is that the Video Bridge product line that we already have, that is based on a series of hardware probes and software probes and things like that, those are perfect for multicast environments, because a multicast, you can subscribe to a stream, and it's the same stream that all of your other devices and things that are looking at. So you're looking at the exact same thing that all the devices are getting. The problem that you'll get into is unicast streams, especially unicast streams over an internet connection. You can't have a probe look at a unicast stream and have it be the exact representation of what your other devices are receiving, because you have to be in that pipe. You actually have to be a part of that unicast stream going from device to device. So that's where Sentra can do that, right? Because it's actually routing the streams from point to point through the system. So since we're handling those IP packets, now we can get in there and actually do the analysis and start doing the monitoring and things like that. So could you do it? Yes, but then you're more of a management and control system, which we might get there once we get the device level integration. But really, the Video Bridge product line is kind of the bread and butter for like actual true monitoring of streams, especially for on-premise monitoring of streams and multicast environments and things like that. Video Bridge is going to shine. That will always be the product. I think that will be there. But in terms of doing unicast monitoring for internet workflows, Sencore will be the answer for us, just because of the way those systems operate and how those streams go through those platforms. So yeah, I think that addresses all of the questions in the Q&A section. So I don't know if anybody else has any other closing thoughts or comments.
You can stop sharing.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, thank you guys. Especially Aaron. It's very early there. What time is it there in Central
It's just
US?
almost 6 a.m.
Okay.
I'm running on coffee. I got my big coffee. We're good.
Okay. Tomaş, thank you for your support and
Thank you
for your
Sadettin.
inputs. Değerli katılımcılar, bugünkü konuğumuz Sencore firmasından video iletiminin gelişimiyle ilgili güzel bir konu dinledik. Bu seneki Profen Tech Days sonlandı. En son sunumumuzdu. Seneye tekrar görüşmek üzere. Kendinize iyi bakın. Teşekkürler.